I was scrolling through my lunch break when I saw my engagement ring, my grandmother's ring, glinting on someone else's hand in an Instagram post. The caption read, "When your man finally upgrades from basic to bombshell, our blessed life, upgrade complete, sorry, not sorry." Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. My coffee went cold in my hand as I stared at the screen. The woman in the photo was draped across my leather couch in my downtown loft, wearing what looked like my silk robe. But it was the ring that made my blood run ice cold. The Art Deco sapphire surrounded by diamonds that had been in my family for 4 generations. The post had 847 likes. 847 strangers celebrating my humiliation. I scrolled down. There were more. So many more. Coffee date with my forever. Poor thing still thinks he's working late. A photo of Marcus, my fiancé of 3 years, kissing this woman's temple at the cafe 2 blocks from our home, living my best life while some people can't even keep their man satisfied. Her, in my kitchen making breakfast in my cookware, when you're everything she's not. Successful, sexy, and actually worth his time. A mirror selfie in my bedroom. My bedroom. Each post had hundreds of comments. Laughing emojis, fire emojis, women I'd never met calling me the ex, and congratulating this stranger on her glow-up. But here's what none of them knew. What this woman with her performative confidence and cruel captions didn't know. What even Marcus didn't know. I wasn't just some basic woman he was trading up from. I was Elena Vasquez. And I owned the law firm that was about to make her regret every single keystroke. My name isn't on the door. That's by design. Vasquez & Associates is run by my face partners, brilliant attorneys who handle the day-to-day while I oversee strategy from behind the scenes. It's how I prefer it. Quiet power, invisible control. I learned early in my career that being underestimated is the greatest advantage you can have. I built the firm from nothing 8 years ago, fresh out of Yale Law, with a specialty that most firms found too aggressive, too risky, high-stakes defamation and reputation management. We don't take small cases. We take the ones that destroy lives and rebuild them, the ones that make headlines, the ones that set precedents. Last year alone, we secured $127 million in settlements and judgments. Our client list includes Fortune 500 executives, celebrities, and people powerful enough that you'll never see their names in the press, which is exactly why they hire us. And this woman, this Sienna, according to her Instagram handle, or Sienna Sparksjoy, had just handed me the easiest case I'd ever have. I screenshotted everything. Every post, every comment, every timestamp. My hands were steady now, muscle memory from years of evidence gathering. Then I opened my encrypted messaging app and sent everything to my lead attorney, Monica Chen. Emergency. My office. 20 minutes. Monica was already waiting when I arrived, her laptop open, her expression somewhere between fury and professional excitement. Monica had been with me since the beginning, a Harvard law graduate who'd watched her own mother destroyed by online harassment. She approached defamation cases like a surgeon with a scalpel, precise, methodical, and absolutely merciless. "I've been through everything," Monica said without preamble. "Elena, I've seen some brazen defamation in my career, but this is a masterclass in stupidity. Walk me through it." Monica pulled up a document already filled with color-coded analysis. She's violated at least 17 different statutes. Defamation per se, multiple counts, intentional infliction of emotional distress, false light invasion of privacy. And that's before we get into the criminal aspects. Criminal? Theft? That ring she's wearing? If you can prove it's yours, she's committed larceny by possession of stolen property. The photos in your home? Potential breaking and entering, depending on how she gained access. And if Marcus gave her keys without your permission, he's an accomplice. I leaned back in my chair, processing. She's made everything public. Date stamps, locations, identifiable property. She's even tagged the cafe, the restaurants. She's built our entire case for us. It gets better, Monica continued, a slight smile playing at her lips. Her profile says she's an influencer and brand consultant. She has 43,000 followers. She's monetizing this content, Elena. There are sponsored posts mixed in with her humiliation campaign against you. She's literally profiting from defaming you. What are our options? Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, like this video, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Monica pulled up another document. We can go several routes. Civil suit for damages, and given her public following and the demonstrable harm to your reputation, we're looking at 7 figures minimum. We can pursue criminal charges through the DA's office. We can get an emergency restraining order and injunction to take down all the content immediately. Or, I could hear the "or" in her voice. Or we let her keep posting for exactly 72 more hours while we document everything. Let her dig herself deeper, and then we hit her with everything at once. Civil, criminal, emergency injunction. We make this so comprehensive that it becomes a case study in what not to do on social media. I considered this. The lawyer in me wanted to strike immediately. But the part of me that had spent 3 years with Marcus, that had introduced him to my family, that had worn my grandmother's ring with pride, that part wanted something more. 3 days, I said. But I want 24/7 monitoring, every post, every story, every comment. And Monica, I want you to personally oversee every aspect of this case. Already on it. She paused, her expression softening slightly. Elena, I have to ask, are you okay? Beyond the legal aspects, I mean. This is your life she's destroying online. I looked out my office window at the city skyline. Somewhere out there, Marcus was probably with her right now, completely oblivious to what was coming. For 3 years, I'd played the role he wanted. The supportive fiancé who worked a little legal job, who never talked about my actual work, who let him feel like the successful one, even though my annual income was triple his. Marcus was a pharmaceutical sales rep. A good one, apparently, though I'd never paid much attention to his work. We'd met at a charity gala I'd sponsored but attended anonymously, listed only as a donor. He'd been charming, attentive, seemingly genuine. When he proposed after 2 years, I'd said yes, despite the tiny voice in my head warning me that something felt off. I'd ignored that voice. I'd wanted to believe in the fairy tale, that I could be Elena the woman, not Elena the legal powerhouse. That I could come home to someone who loved me for me, not for what I could provide or what doors I could open. Turns out, the fairy tale was the lie. And I'd been too blind to see it. I'm fine, I told Monica. Better than fine, actually. For the first time in months, I feel clear-headed. Good, because we're going to need that clarity. Monica's fingers flew across her keyboard. I'm putting together the team now. I want Harper on documentation, Joshua on the criminal aspects, and I'm bringing in Rachel from our digital forensics department. If this Sienna has tried to delete anything, if she's edited photos, if there's any digital trail we can follow, Rachel will find it. Perfect. What do I need to do? For now, live your life exactly as you have been. Don't contact Marcus. Don't respond to any of Sienna's posts. Don't tell anyone what's happening. We need to be able to demonstrate that you took no action to provoke or escalate. You're the victim here, and we need that to be crystal clear. Victim. The word felt foreign. I'd spent my entire career making sure I'd never be in that position. Again, not after watching what happened to my mother when my father's business. Partner spread rumors that destroyed her reputation in our small hometown. She'd never recovered, not really. That's why I became a lawyer. That's why I specialized in what I did. Also, Monica added, don't take off that ring on your left hand. I glanced down at the simple gold band I wore, placeholder ring Marcus had given me when the real one was being sized. Now I knew where the real one had gone. We need photographic evidence of your engagement. The timeline, everything. That ring in her photos? We need to prove it's stolen property, which means establishing your prior ownership and right to possession. I have documentation. Photos of my grandmother wearing it, the insurance appraisal when she left it to me, the original receipt from 1947. Perfect. Send all of it to my encrypted email tonight. Monica closed her laptop. Elena, one more thing. This is going to get ugly before it gets better. When we file, it's going to be public. Your name will be in court documents. The case might generate media attention. I know. And Marcus, he's going to find out who you really are. I smiled, and it wasn't a kind expression. I'm counting on it. The next 3 days were surreal. I went to work, sat through client meetings, reviewed briefs, approved strategies. On the surface, nothing had changed. But underneath, I was watching my life being dissected and destroyed in real time on social media. Sienna posted 8 more times in those 72 hours. Each post more brazen than the last. Dinner at Marcello's with my love. Some people can't afford the appetizers here, let alone the wine list. Heart's living my best life. A photo of her and Marcus at the Italian restaurant where he'd proposed to me. She was wearing a designer dress I recognized because I'd bought it last month. It had disappeared from my closet 2 weeks ago. I'd thought I'd misplaced it. Sunday brunch at the country club. Love how some people think they belong in spaces like this, honey. You can't buy class or sorry, not sorry. The country club where my firm had just sponsored a $50,000 scholarship fund. I was on the board. I'd personally interviewed the recipients last month. When you finally understand what a real successful woman looks like, not everyone can handle being a boss babe. Some people are just meant to be, well, less girl-bossed or success. You could never. This one particularly amused me. Sienna's LinkedIn profile, which Rachel had pulled within hours, showed a sporadic work history of entry-level marketing positions, each lasting less than 8 months. Her current brand consulting business had no website, no client list, and according to her tax returns, legally obtained through Marcus's joint filing status with his ex-wife, which created interesting disclosure loopholes, had generated exactly $3,400 in revenue last year. Meanwhile, my firm had just been ranked Darker 7 in the nation for defamation law by the American Bar Association. But the post that sealed her fate came on day 3. Some women will do anything to trap a man. Fake pregnancies, fake careers, fake personalities. And when the truth comes out, they can't handle that he chose someone real instead. Our truth hurts. He chose me, know your worth. The pregnancy line was a fabrication. I'd never claimed to be pregnant. But the fake career line? That was specific enough, personal enough, and malicious enough that it crossed from petty gossip into actionable defamation. Monica called me 30 seconds after the post went live. We file tomorrow morning, she said. I'm not waiting another day. She just accused you of fraud and deception in a way that could impact your professional reputation. That's defamation per se, and it's exactly what we needed. Do it. Elena, this is going to move fast once we file. Are you prepared? I looked at my calendar. I'd cleared the next week entirely, telling my partners I had a personal matter to handle. They'd learn soon enough what that meant. I'm prepared. File everything. Civil suit, criminal complaint, emergency injunction. I want her off social media by tomorrow afternoon. You'll have it. Monica paused. And Marcus? What about him? Do we include him in the suit? He's facilitated the theft, given her access to your property, possibly been complicit in the defamation. We have grounds. I'd thought about this carefully over the past 3 days. Marcus was a fool and a liar, but adding him to the lawsuit felt like giving him too much importance. No, I had other plans for Marcus. No lawsuit for Marcus. But make sure the criminal complaint includes his role in the theft. Let the DA decide what to do with that information. Understood. I'll have the filing ready for your review by 6 a.m. tomorrow. That night I couldn't sleep. Not from stress or anxiety, from anticipation. I kept thinking about my grandmother, the woman who'd worn that ring through 60 years of marriage, through wars and recessions and personal tragedies. She'd been a refugee from Spain, arrived in America with nothing but the clothes on her back and that ring hidden in the hem of her coat. Never let anyone make you small. Mi corazón, she'd told me before she died, pressing the ring into my palm. Never apologize for being strong. I hadn't thought about those words in years. But as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, they echoed in my mind. By 5:30 a.m., I was in my office, coffee in hand, reviewing the 147-page complaint Monica had prepared. It was beautiful in its thoroughness. Every post documented, every false statement cataloged, every piece of evidence meticulously cited. The civil complaint asked for $2.5 million in damages. Excessive, some might say, for social media posts. But Monica had done the math. Actual damages to my reputation, quantifiable through potential lost business, though I'd be vague about my actual role at the firm, intentional infliction of emotional distress. The posts were clearly designed to humiliate, and punitive damages, to deter this behavior in others. Sienna Martelli doesn't have $2.5 million, Monica said, reading my mind as she entered my office with fresh coffee. Her apartment is rented, her car is leased, and her bank accounts total maybe $18,000. But here's the thing, she doesn't need to have it now. We'll win the judgment, and she'll spend the rest of her life paying it off. Garnished wages, seized assets, ruined credit. Every influencer opportunity, every brand deal, every future job. We'll be there, collecting. Good. The criminal complaint is filed with the DA's office. Grand larceny for the ring. It's appraised at $47,000, which makes it a Class C felony in this state. Computer trespass for the unauthorized photos posted from your home. We're also including Marcus in the complaint as an accessory. And the emergency injunction? We'll present to Judge Whitmore at 9 a.m. I've already sent her chambers all the evidence. Elena, she's going to grant it. I'd bet my license on it. At 8:45 a.m., I walked into the courthouse through the attorney's entrance, Monica beside me. We weren't due in court until 9 but I wanted to be early, prepared, in control. Judge Sarah Whitmore was a former litigator herself, known for her no-nonsense approach to digital privacy and online harassment cases. She'd written several precedent-setting opinions on defamation in the age of social media. If anyone would understand the urgency of this situation, it would be her. All rise. The Honorable Judge Sarah Whitmore presiding. I stood, hands clasped in front of me as the judge entered. She was in her late 50s, gray hair pulled back in a neat bun, reading glasses perched on her nose. She looked at Monica and me, then at the empty defense table. Ms. Chen, I've reviewed your emergency filing. Where is the respondent? Your Honor, we filed this morning and served Ms. Martelli electronically 1 hour ago per state statute. She has not yet retained counsel. Judge Whitmore's eyebrows rose. You served her 1 hour ago and expected her to appear in court? Your Honor, given the ongoing and continuous nature of the defamation, we felt it was critical to move immediately. Ms. Martelli has posted defamatory content as recently as 6:47 this morning. Each hour we delay, the harm to my client multiplies. The judge turned her attention to the documents before her, reading silently for what felt like an eternity. Then she looked up, directly at me. Ms. Vasquez, you're representing yourself in this matter? Monica Chen is my lead attorney, Your Honor. I'm here as the plaintiff. I see. And these posts, she gestured to the evidence, all of these are about you specifically? Yes, Your Honor. And this ring. She held up a photo. You're claiming this is stolen property? Yes, Your Honor. It belonged to my grandmother. I have documentation of its provenance and my legal ownership dating back to her death in 2019. Judge Whitmore was quiet for another moment. Then she made a note on her pad and looked back up. I'm granting the emergency injunction. All content referenced in your filing is to be removed from social media immediately. Ms. Martelli is hereby restrained from posting any content about Ms. Vasquez, directly or indirectly, on any platform. She is also ordered to return all property belonging to Ms. Vasquez within 24 hours, including but not limited to the ring described in the evidence. Monica and I exchanged a glance. We'd hoped for this, but hearing it was different. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm setting a hearing for the full restraining order for next Monday at 10 a.m. Ms. Martelli will need to show cause why this injunction should not be made permanent. Make sure she's properly served with this order and the hearing date, Ms. Chen. Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. One more thing. Judge Whitmore looked at me over her reading glasses. Ms. Vasquez, I recognize your name. Vasquez and Associates. My heart rate picked up, but I kept my expression neutral. Yes, Your Honor. You've argued before me twice before. The Patterson case in 2022 and the Williamson case last year. Excellent work on both. Thank you, Your Honor. She nodded, made another note, and then dismissed us. Outside the courtroom, Monica was practically vibrating with excitement. That was perfect. Better than perfect. The judge basically validated everything before Sienna even has a chance to respond. Now we serve her. Already done. The process server is waiting outside her apartment as we speak. And Elena? Monica showed me her phone. She posted again while we were in court. The post was a photo of Sienna in my kitchen, holding up a coffee mug with the caption, "Morning coffee in my home office. Some people rent, some people own. Know the difference. Boss babe, homeowner, chapter success." She just violated the injunction, Monica said quietly. She doesn't know about the injunction yet. No. But once she's served, every post after that is contempt of court. We'll file an emergency motion immediately. The process server called Monica's phone at 10:17 a.m. She's served. And she is not happy. Did she say anything? Quite a lot, actually. Most of it unrepeatable. She tried to refuse service, but I explained that's not how it works. She read the first page, turned white, and slammed the door in my face. Then I heard screaming from inside the apartment. Monica smiled. Perfect. Thank you, David. She hung up and looked at me. Now we wait. She has 24 hours to take down the posts. After that, every hour it stays up is contempt. She won't take them down, I know. That's what I'm counting on. We were back in the office when my phone rang. Marcus. I'd been expecting this call, but seeing his name on the screen still made my stomach clench. I let it ring through to voicemail. He called again. And again. 7 times in 15 minutes. Finally, a text. We need to talk. Now. Another text. Elena, what the fuck is going on? And another. You can't just sue people because you're jealous. This is insane. Monica was reading over my shoulder. Don't respond. Any communication from you could be used to show you're engaging in conflict, that you're escalating. We need you completely clean in this. I know. But another part of me, the part that had loved him or thought I had, wanted to respond. Wanted to explain, to defend myself, to make him understand. That part was small now, getting smaller by the minute, but it was still there. My phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. I answered. This is Elena. You fucking bitch. The woman's voice was shrill, hysterical. Do you know what you've done? Do you have any idea what you've fucking done to me? Monica immediately started recording on her phone. Who is this? I asked calmly, though I knew exactly who it was. You know who this is? You're trying to ruin my life. Over what, some stupid posts? Get over yourself! Sienna, I need you to stop calling me. I'll do whatever I want. This is America. I have freedom of speech. You can't tell me what to post. Actually, the court just did. You were served with an injunction this morning. All content referencing me needs to be removed immediately. Fuck your injunction. Fuck you. You're just bitter because Marcus chose someone better. Someone who isn't a dried-up pathetic. I hung up. The phone immediately rang again. Monica shook her head. Don't answer. She's trying to provoke you into saying something we'll regret. Let it go to voicemail. I set my phone face down on my desk and watched it vibrate with call after call. After the 7th call, it stopped. She'll violate every aspect of that injunction, Monica said, still recording everything. These phone calls, the harassment, it's all going in our contempt filing. How long before the posts come down? Monica checked Sienna's Instagram on her laptop. They're still up. All of them. She has 24 hours, but I don't think she'll comply voluntarily. What happens when she doesn't? We file for contempt. The judge can issue fines, court costs, even jail time for willful violation of a court order. And every day she doesn't comply, it gets worse for her. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. She's crying. She's terrified. How could you do this to her, to us? I thought you were better than this. And there it was. After everything, after the lies, the theft, the public humiliation, he was defending her. Standing by her side while my reputation burned online. I'd spent 3 years with this man. 3 years of dinners and vacations and quiet mornings. 3 years of believing I knew him, that he knew me. And it had all been a performance on both our parts. He'd performed the role of supportive fiancé while sneaking around behind my back. I'd performed the role of modest, unambitious woman while building an empire. The difference was, my performance was ending. His was about to get much, much worse. Elena? Monica's voice broke through my thoughts. You okay? Yeah, just thinking about what comes next. What does come next? We've got the injunction. The lawsuit is filed. The criminal complaint is in motion. We're in good shape. I looked at her. This brilliant woman who'd stood beside me for 8 years, who'd fought battles most attorneys wouldn't touch. Monica, I want to hold a press conference. She blinked. What? A press conference? I want to go public with this. All of it. Elena, that's not usually how we handle these cases. The strength of our position is in the quiet power, the behind-the-scenes work. I know, but this isn't just about winning the case. This is about sending a message. I pulled up Sienna's Instagram on my own laptop. The comment sections were full of women cheering her on, celebrating the humiliation of the pathetic ex, making jokes about desperate women who couldn't keep their men happy. Look at this, I said, turning the screen toward Monica. Hundreds of women, thousands maybe, all of them buying into this narrative that it's funny to publicly destroy someone, that it's empowering to kick someone when they're down. I want them to see what happens when you do that to the wrong person. Monica was quiet, considering. If we do this, you can't be anonymous anymore. Vasquez and Associates will be connected to you publicly. Every case we've ever handled, every client we've ever represented, it all becomes part of your public profile. I know. Your relationship with Marcus, the details of this case, your personal life, it all becomes public record. Media Fodar? There's no taking that back. I know, I repeated. But maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe I've been hiding too long. Monica studied my face for a long moment. Then she nodded. Okay, if we're doing this, we're doing it right. I'll call our PR team, set up the press conference for Friday. That gives us 2 days to prepare, to make sure our messaging is perfect. And Elena? If we do this, we control the narrative. Every word, every image, every detail. We don't leave anything to chance. Agreed. One more thing. Once we announce the press conference, Sienna is going to lose her mind. Marcus, too. They're going to fight back in every way they can. Are you prepared for that? I thought about my grandmother, about the ring she'd kept hidden in the hem of her coat as she fled across an ocean to a new life. About the strength it took to start over, to build something from nothing. To refuse to be made small. I'm prepared, I said. And this time, I meant it. That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went through old photo albums, physical ones, the kind with actual printed photographs slipped into plastic sleeves. My mother had made them, back before everything went digital, before lives were lived and documented online. There was my grandmother, young and fierce, standing in front of the shop she and my grandfather had opened in 1952. There she was again at my mother's graduation, pride radiating from every line of her face. And there, my breath caught, there was the ring, clearly visible on her hand in a photograph from my 8th birthday party. I'd forgotten that photo existed. But there it was, perfect evidence of the ring's history in my family. I made a note to send it to Monica in the morning. I kept flipping through the album. My parents' wedding. My first day of school. Family holidays and ordinary Sundays. A whole life documented in carefully preserved moments, back when privacy meant something, when your worst moments weren't broadcast to thousands of strangers for entertainment. My phone buzzed. Another text from Marcus. We need to talk. Face to face. I'll come to your place tomorrow morning. I typed out a response. No, all communication goes through my attorney. Monica Chen at Vasquez and Associates. She'll provide you with contact information. His response was immediate. Your attorney? Elena, this is ridiculous. We're engaged. We should be able to talk about this. We were engaged. Past tense. And no, we don't need to talk. The court will handle everything from here. You're really going through with this? Over some Instagram posts? I stared at that text for a long moment. Some Instagram posts? As if that's all it was. As if he hadn't stolen from me, lied to me, betrayed me in the most fundamental way. As if he hadn't handed my grandmother's ring, my family's legacy, to another woman like it meant nothing. Return the ring within 24 hours as ordered by the court, I typed. After that, you'll hear from my attorney regarding the criminal charges. Criminal charges? Elena, what the fuck? I turned off my phone. In the silence of my apartment, I walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, Sienna was probably crafting her next post, preparing her defense, gathering her own screenshots and evidence. Marcus was probably beside her, telling her it would be okay, that I was just being vindictive, that the lawsuit would go nowhere. They had no idea what was coming. I'd spent 8 years building a legal practice designed specifically for moments like this. I'd studied every precedent, every loophole, every possible defense and counter-defense. I'd won cases that other firms said were unwinnable. I'd gotten 8-figure settlements for clients who'd been told to just let it go and move on. And now, for the first time, I was the client. And I had the best legal team in the country on my side, because I'd built that team myself. My phone buzzed again. I'd forgotten I turned it off, but Monica must have called the landline. The answering machine picked up. Elena, it's Monica. Call me when you get this. Sienna just posted again. A long rant about the lawsuit, calling you a psycho bitch and saying the legal system is corrupt. She's also claiming the ring was a gift from Marcus, and that you're lying about it being stolen. We need to discuss how to handle this. It's actually perfect for our case, but you should know what she's saying before the press conference. Call me! I saved the message and immediately turned on my laptop. Sure enough, there was a new post on Sienna's Instagram, time-stamped at 11:47 p.m. The post was a screenshot of the court order with most of the details visible, along with a lengthy caption. So apparently some people can't handle the truth. Got served with this bullshit today from a woman who's so pathetic and desperate that she's literally suing me for posting about my life. Let me make this clear. I don't owe you anything. The ring? Marcus gave it to me. It's mine. The stolen property. Everything in that apartment belongs to Marcus, and he can let whoever he wants into his home. You're just mad because he chose someone better, and now you're trying to use your money and privilege to silence me. Well, guess what? I'm not afraid of you. I'm not taking down shit. Freedom of speech is a thing, Karen. Look it up. Freedom of speech, standing up for myself, not scared, truth always wins. The post had 200 likes in less than an hour. The comments were a mix of support. Stay strong, girl. Don't let them silence you. And a few dissenting voices. Girl, you might want to get a lawyer. And this is a court order, not a suggestion. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Monica with a simple message. She just bought herself a contempt charge. Monica replied within minutes. I saw. I'm filing the contempt motion first thing in the morning. Elena, this is actually incredible for our case. She's not just violating the injunction. She's admitting in writing that she's refusing to comply with a court order. No judge will tolerate that. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, but I couldn't sleep. Instead, I pulled up the legal documents Monica had filed and read through them again, this time with fresh eyes. I was seeing them not as the person who'd lived through this, but as the attorney who would present them in court. The narrative was clear. A successful professional woman, engaged to be married, discovers her fiancé is having an affair. Rather than handle it privately, the mistress launches a public campaign to humiliate and defame the fiancé, stealing property, posting intimate photos, and making false statements that damage the plaintiff's reputation and livelihood. It was textbook defamation. It was also, as Monica kept pointing out, remarkably stupid. But stupid doesn't mean powerless. Every minute those posts stayed up, more people saw them. More people commented, shared, laughed. My humiliation was being repackaged as entertainment, my pain as content for strangers' scrolling pleasure. And that's what I wanted to stop. Not just for me, but for everyone else who'd been in this position. Everyone who'd watched their private life become public spectacle. Everyone who'd been called crazy or bitter for trying to defend themselves. The press conference would be my chance to shift the narrative, to show that actions have consequences, to demonstrate that just because something happens online doesn't mean it's not real, doesn't mean it's not harmful, doesn't mean it's protected. As I finally fell asleep around 3 a.m., my last thought was of my grandmother's words. Never let anyone make you small, mi corazon. Never apologize for being strong. I wouldn't. Not anymore. Fiancé's mistress posted my pathetic life. Online, defamation lawyers. Posted her court date instead. Morning of the contempt hearing arrived with unexpected sunshine. I dressed carefully. A navy suit, simple jewelry, hair pulled back in a professional bun. I looked exactly like what I was, a successful attorney who'd been wronged, not a scorned woman seeking revenge. Monica met me outside the courthouse at 8:30 a.m., carrying 3 briefcases worth of evidence. She hired an attorney, Monica said as we walked toward the entrance. Gerald Hammond, solo practitioner, mostly does traffic tickets and small claims. He called me yesterday afternoon, completely out of his depth. Did he try to negotiate? Oh, he tried. Offered to have Sienna take down all the posts and issue a public apology in exchange for dropping the contempt charges and reducing the civil suit to nuisance damages. Monica smiled. I told him we'd see him in court. Inside, the courtroom was surprisingly full. I recognized a few faces. Reporters from the legal beat, a couple of my firm's clients who'd heard about the case. And sitting in the back corner, partially hidden behind a pillar, was Marcus. He looked terrible. Unshaven, wrinkled shirt, dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me, he half stood, as if he might approach, but Monica's sharp look made him sink back into his seat. Sienna sat at the defense table with her attorney, and I had to suppress a laugh. She'd dressed for Instagram, not court. A tight red dress, full makeup, hair in elaborate curls. She kept glancing at her phone until the bailiff told her to put it away. All rise. The Honorable Judge Sarah Whitmore presiding. Judge Whitmore entered, took her seat, and immediately looked at Sienna with an expression that could freeze water. Ms. Martelli, I see you've retained counsel. Mr. Hammond, I trust you've explained to your client the seriousness of contempt proceedings. Gerald Hammond stood, his cheap suit jacket straining across his shoulders. Yes, Your Honor. My client. Your client posted a screenshot of my court order on Instagram with commentary stating, and I quote, "I'm not taking down shit. Is that correct?" Hammond swallowed hard. Your Honor, Ms. Martelli was upset and not thinking clearly. She's since realized. Have the posts been removed? Silence. Mr. Hammond, I asked you a question. Have the defamatory posts been removed from social media as I ordered? Some of them, Your Honor. We've been working on... Some of them? Judge Whitmore's voice could have cut glass. The order said all content. It didn't say some content or the content you feel like removing. It said all. Monica stood. Your Honor, if I may, as of 8 a.m. this morning, 17 posts remain active on Ms. Martelli's Instagram account, all in direct violation of your injunction. Additionally, she posted 3 new pieces of content after being served with the order, including one that explicitly stated her refusal to comply. The judge looked at Sienna. Ms. Martelli, stand up. Sienna stood, her confidence visibly cracking. Do you understand what a court order is? Yes, but it's not a suggestion. It's not a request. It's an order from this court that you are legally obligated to follow. Do you understand that? Yes, Your Honor, but I have freedom of speech. You do not have the freedom to defame others. You do not have the freedom to display stolen property. You do not have the freedom to violate direct orders from this court. Mr. Hammond? Control your client. Hammond put a hand on Sienna's arm, urging her to sit down. Here's what's going to happen, Judge Whitmore continued. Ms. Martelli, you have until 5 p.m. today, that's 6 hours from now, to remove every single post referenced in this complaint. Every single one. If even one post remains after 5 p.m., you will be fined $1,000 per day per post until they're removed. Additionally, you are fined $5,000 for contempt of court, payable immediately. Sienna's face went white. I don't have $5,000. Then you should have followed my order. Next, the ring. The sapphire and diamond ring that appears in multiple photographs. Where is it? It's mine. Marcus gave it to me. Judge Whitmore turned to Monica. Ms. Chen, what evidence do you have regarding ownership of this ring? Monica opened her briefcase and pulled out a folder. Your Honor, I have documentation spanning 73 years. The original purchase receipt from 1947, insurance appraisals from 1947, 1972, 1995, and 2019, photographs of the ring being worn by Elena's grandmother at various family events, and the will documenting its transfer to Ms. Vasquez upon her grandmother's death in 2019. And what does Mr. What does Mr. Carson say about this ring? For the first time, everyone looked at Marcus. He stood slowly, looking like he might be sick. Mr. Carson, you're not a party to this case, but you're named in the criminal complaint. Do you have counsel? No, Your Honor, I didn't know I needed— You do. I suggest you retain an attorney immediately. Now, where did you get this ring? Marcus glanced at Sienna, then at me. It was Elena's grandmother's ring. She kept it in a safe in our apartment. I took it. The courtroom went silent. You took it, Judge Whitmore repeated. You took property that didn't belong to you from a safe and gave it to another woman? Your Honor, I can explain— I don't want your explanation right now, Mr. Carson. I want that ring returned to Ms. Vasquez immediately. Where is it? Sienna jumped up. It's at my apartment. But it's mine. He gave it to me. Receiving stolen property is also a crime, Ms. Martelli. Mr. Hammond, I strongly suggest your client cooperate fully. The ring is to be returned to Ms. Vasquez by end of business today. If it's not, I'll issue a warrant for your client's arrest. Your Honor. Sienna's voice was shrill now. This is insane. I didn't do anything wrong. All I did was post about my own life. You posted defamatory statements about Ms. Vasquez. You displayed stolen property. You photographed the interior of someone else's home without permission and used those photographs to harass and humiliate her. You monetized content that caused her demonstrable harm. That's not posting about your life. That's a calculated campaign of harassment. Judge Whitmore made several notes, then looked back up. I'm making the emergency injunction permanent. Ms. Martelli is permanently restrained from posting any content about Ms. Vasquez, directly or indirectly on any platform. She is to have no contact with Ms. Vasquez. The civil trial is scheduled for 8 weeks from today. Ms. Chen, make sure all parties have the date. Yes, Your Honor. And Ms. Martelli? If you violate this order again, even once, you will be arrested. Do you understand? Yes, Sienna whispered. What was that? Yes, Your Honor. Good, we're adjourned. As the judge left, Sienna turned to her attorney, her voice rising. What just happened? She can't do that. She can't find me money I don't have. Hammond looked exhausted. She can, and she did. We need to talk about your options, but right now you need to start deleting those posts. No. I'm not deleting anything. This is bullshit. That bitch. Ms. Martelli, stop talking. Right now. Hammond grabbed her arm and practically dragged her toward the exit. Marcus approached me as Monica and I gathered our things. Security moved forward, but Monica waved them off. Elena, please. Can we just talk? No. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. We were together for 3 years. Don't I deserve? I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just a profound sense of wasted time. You stole my grandmother's ring. You let another woman into my home, wear my clothes, sleep in my bed. You stood by while she destroyed my reputation online. And you want to talk about what you deserve? I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I'll do anything to fix this. You can start by getting your own attorney. The DA is reviewing criminal charges for theft and accessory to harassment. You're going to need representation. His face crumbled. Criminal charges? Elena, I could lose my job. my reputation, everything. Yes, I said simply. You could. Just like I almost lost mine. But you didn't. You're fine. You have your job, your money, everything. Why are you doing this? And there it was, the fundamental misunderstanding that had defined our entire relationship. Marcus, you have no idea what I almost lost. You have no idea who I am, what I've built, or what it took to get here. You never asked. In 3 years, you never once asked about my work, my ambitions, my life beyond what I showed you. Because you never told me. Because you never wanted to know. My voice rose despite my best efforts. You wanted a quiet, supportive fiancé who made you feel important. You didn't want a partner. You wanted an audience. Monica touched my arm gently. Elena, we should go. She was right. This conversation was pointless. Marcus would never understand, and I was done trying to explain. Goodbye, Marcus. My attorney will be in touch about the return of my property and the division of assets. Don't contact me again. I walked away, Monica beside me, and didn't look back. 3 weeks later, the ring was returned in a plain manila envelope delivered by court order. I opened it in my office, alone, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I cried. The ring was exactly as I remembered. The sapphire deep blue, the diamonds catching the light, the band worn smooth by years of love. My grandmother had worn this ring through good times and bad, through joy and sorrow, through a life full of courage and resilience, and now it was home. Monica knocked softly on my door. Elena, you okay? I wiped my eyes and nodded. Yeah, I'm okay. Good. Because we need to talk about the trial. Over the next few weeks, Monica and her team built a case so comprehensive, so thoroughly documented, that Hammond called 3 times trying to negotiate a settlement. Each time Monica refused. We're not settling, I told her after the 3rd call. I want a jury verdict. I want this on record. It's going to be public. Very public. Are you sure? I'm sure. The trial began on a cold Monday in October. The courtroom was packed with reporters, legal observers, and people who'd been following the case online. Somewhere along the way, it had become bigger than just my story. It had become a referendum on digital harassment, on the line between free speech and defamation, on the consequences of turning someone's pain into content. Monica's opening statement was devastating in its simplicity. This case is about cruelty. Deliberate, calculated cruelty designed to humiliate another human being for entertainment and profit. The defendant, Sienna Martelli, engaged in a systematic campaign to destroy Elena Vasquez's reputation through false statements, stolen property, and invasive photography. She did this publicly, proudly, and for money. And when the court ordered her to stop, she refused. Hammond's opening was predictably weak. My client exercised her First Amendment right to free speech. She posted about her own life, her own relationship. If Ms. Vasquez was hurt by the truth, that's unfortunate, but it's not illegal. The trial lasted 3 days. Monica called witness after witness, digital forensics experts who analyzed the posts, psychologists who testified about the emotional harm of public defamation, financial experts who calculated the monetary value of Sienna's sponsored posts featuring my humiliation. I testified on day 2. Monica walked me through the timeline, meeting Marcus, the engagement, the gradual realization that he was cheating, and finally, the discovery of the Instagram posts. How did you feel when you saw the first post? Monica asked, betrayed, humiliated, but also confused. I couldn't understand why someone I'd never met would want to hurt me so publicly. Did you respond to any of the posts? No. I documented them and consulted my attorney. Why? Because I'm a lawyer. I know the importance of evidence and proper legal procedure. And because I knew that responding emotionally would only make things worse. Hammond's cross-examination was aggressive, but ineffective. Ms. Vasquez, isn't it true that you hid your career from Mr. Carson throughout your relationship? I didn't hide it. He never asked about my work in detail, and I didn't volunteer information. But you let him believe you were essentially unemployed? I let him believe what he wanted to believe. I never lied about my career. I simply didn't correct his assumptions. So you deceived him? No, I protected myself. And given what happened, I was right to do so. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the forewoman stood and read the verdict. In the case of Vasquez versus Martelli, on the count of defamation per se, we find in favor of the plaintiff. On the count of intentional infliction of emotional distress, we find in favor of the plaintiff. On the count of invasion of privacy, we find in favor of the plaintiff. Sienna was sobbing now, her face buried in her hands. As to damages, we award the plaintiff $1.8 million in compensatory damages and $3.2 million in punitive damages, for a total judgment of $5 million. The courtroom erupted. Reporters rushed out to file their stories. My colleagues from the firm sitting in the gallery were grinning. And I sat there feeling nothing but relief. It was over. The aftermath was swift and comprehensive. Sienna declared bankruptcy within a month, but bankruptcy doesn't discharge intentional tort judgments. She would be paying me for the rest of her life, a portion of every paycheck garnished, every asset seized. Marcus was charged with theft and pleaded guilty in exchange for probation and restitution. He lost his job, his reputation, and any chance of working in pharmaceutical sales again. But more importantly, the case became precedent. Law schools started teaching it. Other victims of digital harassment started citing it in their own lawsuits. The message was clear. Your actions online have real-world consequences. 6 months after the trial, I did something I'd been thinking about for years. I put my name on the door. Vasquez and Associates became Vasquez and Associates. Elena Vasquez, founder and senior partner. No more hiding. No more pretending to be less than I was. On the 1-year anniversary of the verdict, Monica came into my office with a bottle of champagne. I thought we should celebrate, she said. Pouring 2 glasses. Celebrate what? Everything. The case, the precedent, the fact that you're finally letting yourself be visible. And this? She handed me a manila folder. Inside was a check from the court, the first payment of Sienna's wage garnishment. $347, I laughed. At this rate, I'll collect the full judgment in about 1,000 years. It's not about the money. It never was, she was right. The money didn't matter. What mattered was that Sienna would spend the rest of her life being reminded, every single payday, that actions have consequences. That cruelty has a price. That you can't destroy someone for entertainment and walk away unscathed. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out my grandmother's ring. I hadn't worn it since I got it back. It felt too precious, too weighted with meaning. But now, I slipped it onto my finger. Never let anyone make you small, I whispered, repeating my grandmother's words. Monica raised her glass. To being big. To being visible. To being exactly who we are. I clinked my glass against hers. To consequences. That evening, I did something I hadn't done in over a year. I posted on social media. Not on Instagram. I'd deleted that account months ago. But on LinkedIn, the professional platform where I'd always maintained a careful, minimal presence. The post was simple. A photo of the verdict document with a caption. 1 year ago, I won a landmark defamation case against someone who tried to destroy my reputation online. Today, I'm sharing this not to gloat, but to remind everyone that digital harassment is not entertainment. It's not drama. It's real harm with real consequences. If you're experiencing something similar, document everything and get legal help. You deserve to be heard. You deserve to be protected. And you deserve justice. Defamation law, digital harassment, justice. Within an hour, the post had 10,000 views. Within a day, it had been shared by major legal organizations, women's advocacy groups, and digital rights activists. My inbox filled with messages from people telling their own stories, asking for help, sharing their gratitude. And I realized something. By hiding for so long, by staying invisible, I'd protected myself but helped no one else. Now, by being visible, by owning my story and my success, I could make a difference. 3 months later, I launched a pro bono division of the firm specifically for victims of digital harassment who couldn't afford representation. Monica ran it with her characteristic fierce compassion, and within 6 months, we'd taken on 43 cases. We didn't win them all. But we won enough. And more importantly, we sent a message. You're not alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. There are consequences for cruelty. I never saw Marcus again. I heard through mutual acquaintances that he'd moved to another state, taken a job in retail management, and was slowly rebuilding his life. I felt nothing about it. No satisfaction, no anger, just indifference. He'd become what he always was to me. Irrelevant. Sienna occasionally tried to reinvent herself online under different names, but someone always recognized her and posted about the lawsuit. Her digital footprint was permanently marked by her own cruelty. It was poetic. In a way, she'd tried to use the internet to destroy me, and instead, the internet had become her permanent record of shame. 2 years after the trial, on a random Tuesday afternoon, I got an email that made me smile. It was from the American Bar Association, informing me that our case had been cited in a Supreme Court brief regarding the limits of free speech in the digital age. Our little case, my personal nightmare, had become part of constitutional law history. I called Monica immediately. Did you see the ABA email? Just got it. Elena, do you understand what this means? We're part of legal history. Our case is going to be in textbooks, studied by law students, cited in courts for decades. We did that, I said softly. We actually did that. You did that. You had the courage to be visible, to fight back, to refuse to be made small. I looked at my grandmother's ring, still on my finger, catching the afternoon light. No, I said. We did it together. You, me, everyone at the firm who believed this mattered. That night, I cooked dinner in my apartment, the same apartment where Sienna had posed for photos, where Marcus had betrayed me, where my life had imploded so spectacularly. I'd thought about moving, starting fresh somewhere new. But I realized this space was mine. It had always been mine. I'd let 2 people make me feel like a stranger in my own home, but that was over now. I set the table with my grandmother's china, lit candles, and poured a glass of wine. Then I sat down, alone but not lonely, and raised my glass to the empty room. To consequences, I said aloud. To courage. To being exactly who we are. The ring sparkled on my finger, a reminder of where I came from and who I'd become. My grandmother had fled across an ocean with nothing but this ring and her determination to build a better life. I'd built a life, lost it, and rebuilt it stronger than before. And somewhere out there, someone else was probably discovering their life being turned into content, their pain into entertainment. But now they had a precedent. They had proof that fighting back was possible. They had hope. That was worth more than any settlement, any judgment, any amount of money. That was everything. 3 years after the trial, I met someone new. Her name was Sarah, and she was an architect who'd never heard of my case. Didn't care about my money and fell in love with me for exactly who I was. Complicated, driven, successful, and still healing. On our first date, she noticed my grandmother's ring. That's beautiful, she said. Family heirloom? Yes, I said. It's got quite a story. I'd love to hear it sometime. Sometime, I agreed. But not tonight. Tonight I just want to know about you. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel the need to perform, to hide, or to protect myself. I was just Elena. Visible, vulnerable, and completely myself. It was terrifying. It was perfect. As I sat across from Sarah in that restaurant, I thought about the journey that had brought me here. The betrayal, the lawsuit, the trial, the victory, the pain and the healing, the hiding and the revealing. I wouldn't wish that journey on anyone. But I wouldn't trade it either, because it had taught me something invaluable. You can't protect yourself from pain by making yourself small. You can only protect yourself by being big enough, strong enough, brave enough to face whatever comes. My phone buzzed with an email. Another potential client, forwarded by Monica. Woman in Texas, similar situation to yours. Want to take the case? I looked at Sarah, who was laughing at something the waiter had said, completely at ease in her own skin. I looked at my grandmother's ring. I thought about all the women who'd reached out over the past 3 years, thanking me for being visible, for fighting back, for showing them it was possible. I typed back to Monica, "Schedule the consultation. Let's see if we can help." Because that's what the last 3 years had taught me. We help each other. We stand up for each other. We refuse to let cruelty win, and when someone tries to make you small, you stand up, you fight back, and you show them exactly how big you really are. I put my phone away and smiled at Sarah. "Sorry about that. Work." "Important work?" "Very important," I said. "But it can wait. Tonight is about us." And it was. Tonight, and every night after, was about being fully, completely, unapologetically myself. The woman who'd been mocked online as pathetic and desperate had become a symbol of strength. The unemployed fiancé had revealed herself as a legal powerhouse. The victim had become the victor. But more than that, I'd become free. Free from hiding, from pretending, from making myself small for anyone's comfort. My grandmother had been right all along. Never let anyone make you small. Never apologize for being strong. I hadn't apologized, and I never would again. The end. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.